Good afternoon, everyone. This is the real pastor, the true pastor, Pastor Devin Miller, and you are watching another edition of Financial Matters. Why? Because financials matter, especially now. Extra byline. But we are thankful for all of you who will be and are tuning in. We will, as you know, this show is about talking about financial issues from a Christian perspective, and that only means from a stewardship perspective. Everything we have, everything we receive, everything we want to have comes from God. Now, if you're a non-believer, that's what I believe. This is my show. If you don't like it, but because of that, we want to make sure that what we receive, we are being good stewards of. And sometimes you need a little help in that area. And so this show is geared towards bringing people who are more knowledgeable than I to the platform so that you can learn, so you can grow, and you can become what God truly wants you to become as far as your finances are concerned. So this month, we are focusing on insurance for the most part. I won't say that's the whole thing, but that's the most part. And we have with us an expert in that area. She may not say, I'm not an expert. Well, you better than me, so that makes you an expert in this area. We introduced her last week, and this week we're going to be talking about the what. How does Prime America work? What it offers, and why it can be beneficial to you. So we're going to answer the what with a little bit of why with Miss Sara Jordan, and I'm going to bring her on right now.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me again. It's great to be
Good
back.
afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. We're breathing. We're on this side of the fence, so it's always a great day when you can be alive.
That's right. That's right. In these times, it's better to be seen than viewed.
That's
I
right.
say
I
so.
mean,
That's good. That's good. Well, let's get right on into it. Uh,
mhm.
we're talking about what is Prime America, what does it offer for the consumer, as well
Mhm.
as for possibly the business owner who or someone who wants to get into the business. So we want to cover everything. And as we always do, I'll ask questions along the way, but I'm going to give you the floor to say what is Prime America?
So it's Primerica.
Prime,
Primerica, we're in the financial services industry. We are in the distribution business. We provide a lot of products and services for the Middle America, for everyone, but our target market is Middle America. We started off as a crusade based on what had happened to our founder back when his father had a policy back in the 1970s. They thought they were well protected, and his father passed away unexpectedly, and they got something like $10,000. May sound like a lot, but had they gotten the right thing, they would have gotten something like $100,000. And they became homeless in the process, lost their home and so on, because what they got did not align to what they could have gotten. He did his research, and back then, 8 out of 10 families had some type of protection, some type of life insurance, right? And when he did his research, he found out that the vast majority of those people who had insurance had the same type. But here's the ticker. The folks who sold them those policies did not have the same type themselves.
mm,
See, back then we didn't have all this competitive bargaining. There's no internet, and you just took what you got. So, based on his lived experience, he founded our company to right a wrong. He was on a crusade to fix Middle America because I always say nobody's making it out alive.
right.
What's going to happen when that time reaches? Folks losing their homes because they didn't have a plan in place to fix. So we were founded based on that concept. Our crusade is buy term and invest the difference. Primerica's approach is based on financial education and empowerment, not a product first planning, right? Learn how money works and how to manage, save, and grow your money. we teach families how exactly how their money works instead of speaking in jargon. So we simplify everything so that there's a complete understanding, right? We help them eliminate debt using systematic and accelerated strategy, not minimum payments. We recommend life insurance and investing the difference. So families build real assets instead of buying expensive cash value policies, because that's very exciting today. Folks want to buy cash value, they commingle it, but the insurance companies that sell those things, they always tell you can borrow. Why do you have to borrow if you own it, right?
Right. Right.
So we don't commingle those products. You have a we say buy term and invest the difference, right? We give you step-by-step financial roadmap, not a one-time sale. We're not focusing on this. We're focusing on helping families build assets, real assets, be protected, save their money, create immediate estates. So traditional firms often lead with asset planning, fees, and a minimum account sizes. Primerica focuses on middle-income families, showing them how to reduce debt, invest consistently, and protect their income so anyone can build wealth. Buy term insurance and invest the difference. We do not commingle investment products and life insurance; those are two animals. So that way you have your protection and you save your money that you own outright. You're not borrowing anything; you
Right.
own that, and that's where the miseducation happens in our community. High level of
Okay.
education.
Right. Right. So, a couple of questions before you move on. What was the reason why the founder focused on Middle America because he was from Middle America and he saw that there was a discrepancy?
Yes,
Okay.
it was. And also what happened when his father passed away. Because the
Right.
vast majority of folks who had that type of protection came from Middle America. And
Okay.
based on his lived experience,
Right.
he could not have that duplicated because basically that's Middle America kind of floats everything. So he put this in place. He was literally on a crusade to fix that aspect. That's
Okay.
how we were founded.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So in moving forward, because I'm gonna be jumping kind of,
Yeah,
what
that's
you
fine.
do and all that. So in the clientele that you come across,
Hmm.
um, telling that story, telling your story of why you got involved with it, and all the aspects. What has been, especially in this economy, what has been your greatest challenge?
The greatest challenge has been the miseducation as to the different products out there. A lot of folks are into the whole life insurance and IULs, and you've seen like Waka Flocka and all these things, but they've burned that way. The appeal to having the availability of cash to borrow has been the worst thing ever.
Okay.
Because with the whole life insurance, and I'm probably going to step on toes, you pay for two things, you get one, right? So
Mm,
the whole life insurance, they commingle the policy with the investment. So they call it cash account. So as your policy is growing, as you pay your insurance and you're covered with it, you are creating a cash account,
right.
right? So the cash it's gaining interest, etc.
Right.
However, upon your demise, the beneficiary will only get the death benefit. They do not get the death benefit and the account that's been accumulating.
Mm,
Don't get that. Now, the
wow.
salesperson will never tell you that. If you call the 800 number by law, they're required to tell you that. So folks say, I borrowed this money, but if you borrowed my, let's say your cash account accrued $20,000 and you borrowed 10, upon your demise, if you haven't paid it back, they will subtract what you didn't pay back, what you didn't finish paying from the death benefit. Well,
Right.
let's say you accrued, so the beneficiary will get the difference.
Right. Okay.
Let's say you accrued $20,000 in that cash account. Upon your demise, the beneficiary does not get that amount. That goes back to the company.
Really?
Yes. So folks need to you pay for two things, you get one. We said the big print giveth and the fine print taketh away. So we don't do that at all. we say we separate those two products because we have a myriad of products and services. We sell you the life insurance, its term is anywhere from 10 to 35 years. It's guaranteed renewable. Well, what the hell does that mean? Sorry. What does
You
that mean?
good? You good?
Uh, it
Hell is
means
in the Bible. You okay? It's in the Bible. It's all right.
okay. So we it's for five between 5 to 35 years based on age and health for how much how long you want it. We say
Okay.
it's guarantee renewable without proof of insurability. Well, what does that mean? It means before the term is about to expire, we renew, but upon renewal, no health examination is required.
Right.
Upon renewal, because we know you're older, something may have come in, we say renew before the term is expired. But the spare change that you have, because it's going to be much cheaper, you can invest with us with as little as $25 a month,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And there are two types of policies, etc. There is power term and precision term. We can get into that, but all policies will be evaluated and underwritten based on the information that's there. We say by term, we fit you to a budget. Everybody wants $1 million policy, but can we afford it? Maybe not. But we are different because we would fit you based on what you can afford. So let's say you got $30 a month. We can show you what 30 month dollars can get you. We fit you into that because the goal is to keep it
Right.
until you die. That
Okay.
way, you're not debating between buying groceries and paying your life insurance because that's the first thing you're going to throw out. You're going to get rid of the life insurance policy, right?
Yes.
So we
Yes.
do an analysis based on your expenditure and your income, things of that nature, fit you into a budget that you can comfortably keep. But it's going to be so reasonably priced that we say the spare change, if you have at least $25 a month, we'll set you up with an advisor and we can have you invest that money. On average, our investments are between 10 and 12% ROI per. So
Mhm.
it's really good. And we can get into the back end and maybe another call, but you know how we mix and match and come up with the different investments that you want, aggressive or moderate, whatever, conservative, and so on. But the whole point is we invest that money for you. So the money you can use for whatever purpose, you are not commingling it with a life insurance policy. Those are two separate things, and we provide
Okay.
the service. So
Okay.
we help protect the family, and we help create immediate estates, but we also grow your money. There are two different products. Fit you into
Mhm.
a vehicle that you can comfortably keep, and then the spare change you invest it. So we say buy term and
Okay. Now, it's interesting because you just confirmed that I knew what I was talking about, even though I don't sell insurance. I had, you get those 1-800 calls, and I tried to oblige. I believe, they trying to make money and all of this. So I'm listening to the guy, and I said, um, he was trying to sell me whole life, and I said, well, don't you have term? And he said, you don't want term. I said, why not? He said, because the reason why it's term is because it ends. I said, yeah, I know. And then I get the full value, right? He's like, no, once it turns out, you don't get anything. And I was like, so I pay all this money hypothetically for term life. It turns out and I don't get nothing? He's like, no. I said, but the whole purpose of term life is for it to term out so that you can do what you need to do if you haven't died yet. He's like, no, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's how it works because otherwise, why would it be term? If I get whole life, I'm paying into something, and if I borrow against it or if I die, you're basically going to pay it out only when I die. But there's a such thing as living benefits that I could get from term from two sides. One, the cash that is accrued, as well as the coverage that I have. No, no, that's not how it works. So
so
was I wrong or was he wrong?
You were halfway right. Just because the term life is term life, it's term. The difference with us is that we renew before it ends, right? Because
Okay.
it's pure insurance. That's pure insurance. There's
Right.
nothing. But because we give you the opportunity to invest, that is a separate product. We invest that
Okay.
money for you as long as you have $25 a month, and you can save that money to do whatever it is you want.
Okay.
But the thing but with whole life, they mix those two things. But
Right.
then, like I said, the death benefit, if you borrow it again, if you borrow against the cash value, they're going to deduct that from the beneficiary because they're not giving this. They're going to give you that, and
Right.
then you know the thing is with the whatever is accrued, if you haven't touched it, it goes back to the company. We've
Mm,
seen a lot of people who thought they had, they didn't have, and convincing people because they see that accruing. But why? It's just for me, it comes down to a very simple word. Why would I need to borrow my own money?
right. Right. Yeah.
Why would I need to borrow my own money? So you don't have to borrow your money. If we invest, you can take it right out. And that's yours.
Right.
So
And
it's just
it doesn't touch the value of the life insurance,
at
correct?
all. They're two separate things. So we say by term, we invest the difference. There's a line drawn there. Not
Yeah.
touching this, not touching that. There's two separate products.
Okay. 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 Now, are you finding well, let me change that.
Mhm.
For those who may be on a fixed income or are, like me, I'm 60. So how do you deal with the older population since we're living longer? How
Mhm.
do you deal with that if I think I heard you say it goes 35 years? Can it be less?
Well, the length of the term is depending on well, you have a choice how much you want it, but sometimes based on your age, they're giving you less because life expectancy is reduced as you get older.
Right.
So 5 to 35 years is the whole span of the products that we have available.
Okay.
And like I
Okay.
said, when you're about to reach that age, we say renew. Doesn't matter
Right.
what age. Once you have a policy with that, you are allowed to renew before the term ends, right?
Okay.
You don't want it to lapse.
Right.
With a fixed income, we well we what we advise, what we advocate, get it. Today is the best day to get it because you're the youngest and healthiest, right? As we
Right.
get older, you find the risk is higher,
Right.
things can creep in, health issues, etc.
Yeah.
And the risk is high because what insurance is really a transfer of risk,
Yeah.
right? These insurance companies assuming the risk of, so that is what it really is. So someone who's a fixed income, someone who's older, we say get it now. Don't wait till next week, tomorrow, or next year. Work on getting something sooner than later.
Right.
But look at your daily expenses, right? If you're a Starbucks user, drinker, whatever, you can scale back a couple of those things because there's a lot of money that we haven't really. If you sit down and you look at your daily activities and habits, you could probably do it at that Starbucks, or you
Sure.
could probably, whatever, not go to dinner. I'm just saying things,
Yeah.
basic
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that we scale back, right?
Right.
But most people like your age, they're disciplined enough to know what they can and cannot do. So you find
Right.
with this middle age, no issue there. They just have to figure out what they can do without and come
Mhm.
up with that budget because the goal is to be comfortable.
Right.
It should not be a noose around your neck,
Right.
right? It should not be a noose. So evaluate your daily activities and habits and see where you can scale something back. We come up with a budget. Just as an FYI, women tend to live longer, so we are normally rated lower, meaning our rates are better.
Mhm.
Um, and then so males are typically rated higher. And this is not stuff that these are based on stats and all the years of data. That's how these companies make their money. They do really good analysis,
Mhm.
and um, they put it into how many years based on the current age, and you can see how much that term is going to last.
Okay.
And but with us, before it expires, you can renew.
Got you.
That's the
Got
difference.
you. Okay. And I heard you say that there's two types of term. Let's explore that.
Yes. I'm glad you asked that question. We have two types of policies. It's called precision term or power term. What does that mean? just for the general population, because it's a transfer of risk and because it's a data driven industry, there is something called the Medical Information Bureau. That is the bureau that captures all the information every time you go to a doctor, whatever, something's prescribed, you had a surgery, they have that information. It's
Mm,
there. So it's not something you can avoid. So
right.
every time a policy is written, they look that information up on the individual,
Okay.
right? So the underwriting leverages that data to come up with how risky you are in terms of giving you a policy.
Right.
So the power term is when no medical exam is taken, right? They just rely underwriting because every policy gets underwritten.
Right.
They just rely on that information that's available. The precision term is typically less expensive. Why? Because there's a blood test, a urine sample, and all that. So they hone in. So you have that test in addition to what's already in MIB, and that tends to be less expensive, right?
Okay.
Because you are going through the medical evaluation.
Okay.
So
So one
precision
is with
term, blood
one
test,
goes by the data, the other goes by actual.
correct.
Okay.
And a lot of times, I like to put this out there. People say, they have hypertension, diabetes, whatever it is. They've been prescribed medication. I don't take it. They might have done their holistic, and that's fine. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you take the meds or not. Once it's prescribed, it's there.
Right. Right.
So you can't say, "Well, I don't take it." You can say that you don't take doesn't matter because that's the information they prescribe. It's on record. It's going to be taken into consideration.
Mm, okay. And that determines the rate that of pay. It's not how
Yes,
much you pay a month.
right. No,
Okay.
I can give quotes. I give quotes at a high level, your age, your birthday, anything, diabetes, smoking, recreational, marijuana, whatever it's got, I put it in there. We can come with some numbers, but
Mhm.
and just to give people an idea as to how expensive it's going to be for them. But once underwriting and we actually write the policy, they hone in and they give you the thumbs up, thumbs down,
Right.
the increased number, how much more you're going to pay. But we can do that with the individual so they have an idea. We've actually seen where some folks decided they wanted this amount of coverage, and when the evaluation was done, they actually got more coverage because they were very healthy. So it works, So it's not always a bad story. Sometimes it's a
Right.
good story. This individual in Philly, he was surprised. He came back and they offered him more coverage because of how healthy he is. So it works both ways.
Sure.
We've also had someone who had heart surgery, wasn't getting insured anywhere else, and we were able to approve him. So it depends,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay. Yeah, the guy I was talking to, they go through that litany of questions about your health, and
Hmm.
I told him in the beginning, you can mark no for all of them. He was like, "Yeah, but I have to read it because it's a recorded line and all this kind of stuff." I said, "Okay." So he would, before he even get finished, yeah, have you no, have you no, did you no? He's like, "You don't have none of this?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You going to the doctor?" I said, "I haven't had my annual this year, but I typically, either do a telecall or whatever because I don't have nothing going on." And they're like,
Amen to that.
they said, so I said I had high blood pressure because I did have medication,
Hmm.
but I weaned myself off of it, lost weight, exercised, drank water, started watching what I eat, and this guy was like, "You mean you don't have any of these?" And he said, "And how old are you?" I said 60. He's like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You've never been in a hospital? You've never?" Nope. When I was in the hospital, I was in college, and that they did it, and it was done. I don't think I've ever had anybody that didn't mark something on this. I said, "Well, you met him today. Thanks to be the God."
Awesome.
I said, my
You've been
boss,
doing the right thing. You've been doing the right. Kudos for that, because not everybody can say that. Truth be
yeah,
told.
oh no, I recognize the blessings, but it's just funny when people, how people, respond to it because it's
Mhm.
like if you live right, the Bible says if you live right,
Amen
heaven
to that.
belongs to you. I'm trying to get to heaven.
That's
So,
right.
if that means I gotta cut all this out, now I didn't go into what I did in college because I probably wouldn't be taking, I got all that out of my system while I was in college. So, Okay, so now the last thing I wanted to ask about on this whole what you offer is on the investment side. Do
Mhm.
you recommend what they should invest in? Do you have is it annuities? Is it stocks? Is it what is the investment side, and how is the customer or the consumer involved in that investment side?
So we distribute for a whole bunch of products and services. We do mutual funds, manage investments, and securities, the whole nines.
Okay.
So we have a whole product of service. We will set you up with an advisor, and they will go through that and evaluation. Right.
Okay.
My whole family, my son, my daughter, my 14-year-old, my husband, and I, we all have mutual funds, and it has been doing quite well. Right.
Hmm.
So we have followed our own mantra by the term. We all have the term insurance and we vest the difference.
Okay.
There's securities and other things that we offer that requires more in-depth conversation with an advisor. But I like to say what it is we offer, right? Just high level. We
Hmm.
distribute for a whole bunch of products and services. We distribute for Quicken Loans, which is the largest lender of mortgages. We also have legal protection, mutual funds, annuities. If you have a lump sum of money and you don't want to outlive your money, we can set you up with a mutual fund. We do manage investments. We also do 401k. If a company has at least 99 employees, we can set them up with 401k plan. We also do Vivid Home Security. If you want to outfit your home, your church, your business, Vivid Home Security, we can outfit you with that. It's not the exhaustive list, but these are just categories of financial products and services. Of course, we own the life insurance company. We own life insurance company of Canada, Primerica Life Insurance Company. So that's our product, but we're
Right.
not relegated to that. We are
Okay.
distributors of financial products and services.
Okay. Okay.
So we
So,
partner with a lot of companies. I'll just call a few names. You let me know if you would like me to share. I don't know if you have that capability.
oh
I
yeah,
can I
we're
can
high
share.
speed over here. We can do a whole lot of stuff.
Let me hit present and I could share my screen. I could
There you go.
show you what it is. Let me see. Select tab. Okay, let's do this. Let me know if you can see. I don't know. Had I hit share?
Yeah, you should be able to hit share.
I'm not sure if I'm doing it. No, I'm doing it wrong. Let me not do that. Let me go back to the screen really quickly and see how this is gonna work. They said Chrome, join me. Okay, this one. Okay, perfect. Hit share, and then I'm going to
Yep.
hit this. All right. Tell me if you're seeing it. Are you seeing it?
Hold on a minute. Oh wait, let me. There you go.
You seeing it?
Oh no, that's mine. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Something's going wrong here. What's happening? I see the name. But why is it showing my screen? Okay, let me.
Let's see. Let me try one more time, and then I got. Oops. Where am I?
Yeah, let me get mine off of there.
Let me see. And this says no. Let's see. Where's the share present? I'm gonna present. Prevent. Not slides or PDF, but image. Let's do image, and it's going to be this one. I think I got it right now. Let's do this one. Can you see it?
No, well, let me do this. Nope, don't want that. Don't want that. Okay, I don't know why it's on my screen, but it's not. I'm not. It's showing my screen instead of your screen. Hold on a minute.
All right, so I don't want to hold up the interview so much. So let me just say, these are some
Okay.
names. It may sound familiar to you. ID theft, legal protection, Pioneer, Invesco, Franklin Templeton, American Century, Legg Mason, American Funds, AXA, MetLife, AIG, Lincoln Financial. There's a whole bunch of these recognized companies that
Right.
for whom we distribute, right? Let me go back to my screen. So
Okay.
that's basically and that's not the exhaustive list. We just put the main ones for brand recognition. So
Sure.
we are distributors of other financial products and services,
Okay.
and our main product that we own outright is the insurance component.
Okay. So as far as the life insurance is concerned, of course you're promoting yours, but if you get someone who wants someone else, you're able to be that bridge. Is that what you're saying?
No, our product, because we don't do any of that whole life stuff. Like I said, it's not for the average consumer. We don't believe in it just because it's not. I think it's deceptive.
Right.
Those are my words. We only offer Primerica life insurance
Okay.
from the insurance aspect, but the other products and services,
Okay.
we partner with other major financial companies and distribute their
Okay.
products in the world of investments, mortgage, securities, that type of
Okay.
thing,
Okay. So
401k.
okay, so that's on the investment side.
That's we wouldn't say it's investment because Vivid Home Security is not an investment. It's just another product and service.
Gotcha.
Mortgage, it can be considered investment, but that's a product and service that we offer. So we distribute for those things,
Right. So
including
anything
investments.
non-insurance basically.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Because you did say you do mortgages and you
We
do.
distribute for Quicken Loans and so on, and that's another arm of the business.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll
Okay.
be a separate. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's not what you deal with. You
no,
cut off.
no.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so the final question on the what is um from your vantage point, again, from your experience, what has been the average age that you've been dealing with overall in the years that you've been in it, and what do they typically, in the term, do they take the power or do they take the position?
The average age has been between 40 and I would say 60. I've had some older folks coming in, we tell them get it before you're 70 because once you're 70, we don't cover you anymore. So when I say don't cover you anymore, you want to live into your 70s, 80s, and you would have a policy with us, but we don't give you a brand new policy at the age of 70.
Okay.
So, yeah, so your term is going to continue past that age, is what I'm saying. But in terms of getting a brand new policy once you reach 70, so we
Right.
say
So
get it before you.
the renewal possibility is cut out.
No, the renewal continues. The matter it continues, but getting a brand new policy. If that's the first, if you're trying to get a policy and you're at 70, you've timed out in terms
Got
of getting a new policy. But
okay.
no, once you have a policy with us and that term is on, we renew it. Don't worry about it.
Got
You
okay.
know, because we say once you get in, you renew without
Yeah.
proof of insurability. So the
Okay.
average age has been, into the 60s. However, a lot of folks are a little bit nervous about going to the doctor, so sometimes they want to do the power term, but then looking at the money, just forget it because they're fearful of what they can find out, etc. So that's always
Mhm.
a little bit of like, oh, what do I want to know? I don't want to know kind of thing.
Right.
But we recommend the blood test, the precision term. It saves you some cash and it makes it more affordable, right? So, there's been resistance to the medical test.
Sure. Sure.
When the I think Quest, I forgot who we worked with, but when I had mine, so I did a Quest Diagnostic. They scheduled, they came to the house, did everything. You don't go there; they come to you,
Sure. Okay.
and no issues. So it's a mixed bag, and I think as people get older, they're a little skeptical about doing they want to do power term, but at an older age, it's more expensive. So
Okay.
we push the agenda. Well, just test.
Right. Especially if they come to the house.
Yeah, they come to the house.
Yeah. Okay. And I know in the past, um, it's usually the urine sample and they draw a little blood, so
Correct.
it's not intrusive.
Yeah, it's not too
Uh,
invasive. It's just the same thing. Like if you got cold and they went to the, emergency, they take a sample.
right, right, yeah. I, my medical stories. I remember when I turned 40 and I had to go get a colonoscopy, and I'm used to the old way, and so I had great trepidation about going in.
Hmm.
But they just gave me the stuff and put me to sleep,
Yep.
and went ahead and did what they did, and I was like, cool. And before that, no, I think that was when I was 45. I think when I was 40, they just did a blood test. They just
Hmm.
drew blood and did checked the PSI, I think it is. And I knew the doctor, he was a friend of mine, so I wasn't, worried about that. He's like, well, your PSI is this, but it's not, what
Hmm.
you need to worry about. Just watch your weight and watch, if you're drinking, watch your drink and stuff like that. So, but the other one, I went in. I said, no, y'all have to put me out. Just put me to sleep. I'll do the day surgery. I don't care, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to look. Just
I'm
knock
the
me.
opposite, Pastor
Uh,
David. I want to see it. I don't want to be out. I just want to see it. I may be like incapacitated, but I don't want to be out. I just don't want
hey,
to.
we're all different, boy. I tell you, and it's probably a man thing. I'm sure it's just a man thing. But well, we've come up on time. I appreciate you as always and giving us the wealth of information.
Mhm,
Next week we'll talk about how people can get in touch with you,
mhm.
and be it local. Now, does everything have to be done in Texas?
Everything. Listen, I got businesses in 11 states. I'm working on Puerto Rico and Canada.
Okay.
My goal is to be across every state. So I do have some people in Texas, kind of dormant right now, but I do
Sure.
have a team out there. I'm doing a silent plug because getting started. Um, there's a promo this month, so I'm glad we're doing it in the month of April because getting started has been dropped to half. So
Sure, sure. Okay, well then next week we'll talk about the promotion and how people can get involved and things like that with you and what all that entails, the whole process of getting insurance. We'll talk
mhm,
from that standpoint, and then we'll do a wrap up because I think we've covered it. And
mhm.
then we'll just do a wrap up and we'll be completed for the month of April.
I appreciate that, and I just want to put a plug before I sign off.
Sure.
You know, insurance. We need to change the conversation, right? Because a lot of times, especially in our community, you see all these commercials, final expenses. I really don't care about final expenses. That's the wrong thing. We should not be talking about financial final expenses.
Right.
Burn me, bury me, whatever.
Yeah.
We are talking about income replacement. That's the paradigm shift that needs to happen. And you got
Okay.
all folks, especially our seniors, or final expenses, or that's not the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they borrow from Tom, Dick, or Harry to bury you or cremate you, then what happens on day two? What happens on day two for the folks you're leaving behind? How are they going to pay their mortgage, their rent, their car note? How are they going to eat, go to college if that's the desire? What happens? We talk about income replacement. Then life insurance is the creation of an immediate estate. And a lot of communities are ahead of the eight ball because they've put that in place. So
Hmm.
we need to not talk about final expenses. We need to talk about income replacement so that if we're no longer here generating that money, that we do every day for life to continue or the way as we know it,
Yeah.
what happens when we're no longer there? Who's generating that? That's the conversation, and that's where the struggle is with some of our people because we've been inundated with that narrative, especially all the TV. You watch the daytime shows that they file expenses. That's not the conversation. It's
Right.
income replacement. That is
Okay.
what we need to be talking about.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about that next week. Let's have as they say, let's have the conversation. Um,
Right.
because that is really I think that's where the intersect of church and what you do comes into play. Because a lot of times we as pastors will always push it as well from a spiritual perspective. I don't ascribe to it. I think it's important, and I'll leave it there because nobody wants to talk about death when you're living.
Mhm.
But, death is a part of life. But I think the piece we miss is what part of life is it about? You
Right.
know what
It's
I'm
a
saying?
succession plan, the
Right,
creation of an immediate estate. Because, like you said, it's biblical. A wise man leaves an inheritance for his grandchildren. How is that inheritance coming if you just talk about final expense? It should not be final.
right.
It's not a final expense.
Sure,
It should be an income replacement because, okay, you're going into heaven, let's make it biblical. But is it over for the rest of them to follow? So we don't talk about finals. We talk about income replacement so that life continues to be the same or better. Once we
sure.
put you in that vehicle with the policy, depending on what you get, the life of those who follow would be the same or better, right?
Okay,
Because they're dealing with grief and all this stuff. Why do they have to deal with with expenses, or with they're able to take care of themselves? They
sure,
too.
sure. Okay. All right. Well, you just placed the agenda on the table. That's what we'll discuss.
All
So
righty.
again, thank you, Sarah, for your information, and I look forward to the conversation next week.
So do I. Have a blessed week, and thanks for
All
having
right.
me
You
on.
too. Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
All right, folks. That was Sarah Jordan with Prime America. I've been saying it wrong. I've been calling it Prime America, but it's Prime America. And I hope you got the information that we wanted you to get for today on what they actually do. Because a lot of times, and we've had a lot of insurance people on this show, and they've been educating because I make sure they do. But when you get those cold calls, those 1-800 or those 88800 numbers, they just want to sell you a policy. That's all they want to do. They're not looking out for your well-being. So, excuse me, that's why this show is here, so that you get the information, excuse me, that you need to make righteous decisions. Because again, there's many choices out there, but we want to make sure that you have the information so that you can make the right decision, not just for you, but for your family. And, as Sarah said, for your children and your children's children. And it's not about wealth, it's about replacement. When we die, there's still going to be bills unless we take care of everything. And if we leave someone behind, namely maybe a spouse, or we leave our children, we want, and again, our children are working and they're doing what they need to do, but we want to be able to contribute based on how we've lived to their living. Okay. And so that's why we do these shows, because financials matter in the lives and especially in our communities. And so we want to make sure that we get you the information. Thank you for watching. Thank you for passing this on. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends that maybe haven't gotten that insurance policy yet. Even if your parents are still around, share it with them if they haven't gotten insurance. And again, as we close, it's not about just final expenses. It's about income replacement. All right. And that's what we're going to really dive into next week. So you don't want to miss next week. Please tell somebody, bring a friend, and let's talk about financial matters. Why? Because financials matter. Until next time, may God's richest and greatest blessings be yours. Peace.